Kudos to Maddie Walters. Thank you for all the support and guidance through this crazy semester. And kudos to Bridget thanks for understanding my manifestation. But that's all I have.
Okay, if you have any last minute questions about what we're going to talk about tonight, you can ask now. Otherwise, we're just going to hang out until 6.
I have something real quick. So I don't know if you guys saw on Teams, but I posted the thing that ICAC emailed to us after our meeting with them on Friday, following up from them coming and talking at the Senate meeting about their fee review last Senate meeting. So if you guys have any questions or concerns still for ICAC, if you want to put them in the chat on the document that I shared with you guys on Teams, I would be happy to put them in a doc and pass them along to ICAC.
Hey, one thing real quick tonight. I believe that Morris Taylor and Provost Cobb are also joining Dr. Waple. They're his friends. I still love that. So a couple of things. Provost Cobb oversees the IT fee. So that is what she can speak knowledgeably about. And then Dr. Taylor oversees the facilities fee, the facilities management. That's what he can speak knowledgeably about. And then Dr. Waple oversees the other 4. I would strongly encourage us to start with the 2 fees that are Provost Cobb and Dr. Taylor. So with questions, so that and it doesn't mean you can't come back and they might stick around, but then that way, if it's getting really long and we've sort of questioned those fees to death, then we can move on to the ones so that they can hop off. So does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Okay, great.
Point of clarification, do we still have the traditional 10 minutes for questions, or are we allowed to extend past 10 minutes if?
No, it's going beyond 10. Ronald mentioned that earlier, that he's going to keep an eye on time, but he won't follow the traditional 10 minutes per speaker.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, if it gets extreme, we'll have to cut it off. But yeah, this gives you more of an opportunity to ask questions, and especially if they go on a lot, then it doesn't cut into the question time.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, it is 6 o'clock, so go ahead and call this Senate meeting to order on Monday, November 9th, 2020 at 6 o'clock p.m. We'll now proceed with roll call.
Senator Aslan?
Present.
Senator Beck?
Present.
Senator Brim?
Present.
Senator Burnett?
Present.
Senator Childerson?
Present.
Senator Gorin?
Present.
Senator Hawkins?
Present.
Senator Hull?
Present.
Senator Jackson?
Present.
Senator Jones?
Present.
Senator Krager?
She was here. She said a while ago she was having computer issues. She might just not be able to unmute herself.
Senator Morgan?
Present.
Senator Obert?
Present.
Senator Odell,
Present.
Senator Perry,
Present.
Senator Pruitt,
Excused.
Senator Randolph,
Present.
Senator Sherman,
Present.
Senator Shahan,
Present.
Senator Shaw,
Present.
Senator Wheeler,
Present.
Senator Winsing,
Present.
President Walters,
Present.
Vice President Akpan,
Present.
Student Trustee Graham,
Present.
Financial Officer Drephart,
Present.
Internal Affairs Officer Lutz,
Present.
Marketing Communication Officer Ballard, External Affairs Officer Kyle,
Present.
Organization Relations Officer Akpan,
Present.
and Student Diversity Officer McKenzie.
Present.
Do we know if Sophia is here?
She's here. I
I'm
sent-
here. Can you not hear me? Sorry, the Wi-Fi's going in and out.
Okay, so you're present.
Yeah, present. Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to line item 3, guest speakers. Our guest speakers for the night will be Dr. Jeffrey Waple, Dr. Morris Taylor, and Dr. Denise Cobb, who will be discussing the potential fee review for the 2021 to 22 school year. Thank you all for coming here tonight. You have approximately 10 minutes to speak, and Senate does not have to respond.
Well, Senator Akpan, I was under the impression that student government was going to ask us questions.
Oh, yes, they will. Sorry.
So we're not ready to speak. We're ready to answer questions, but we're not presenting a thing tonight.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
And Kelly Jo, you want to?
Yeah, so Dr. Waple, Provost Cobb, Dr. Taylor, thank you for coming. I know Paula has joined us, Paula Berkey. I didn't know if you all wanted to open with a very brief overview of how fees shook out this year, and then I think the students have questions. I'll go with it from there.
Okay, well, I can do that then. You know, we obviously a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the process being different. Dr. Taylor, Dr. Cobb, and myself and Dr. Hall, the Director of Athletics, had a Zoom meeting a week and a half ago, I think, and kind of went through the fees that we were proposing and wanted to, you know, start with a proposal that we think the students would support. You know, we had heard, and the chancellor had heard loud and clear from you, not only last year, but this year, that the university needed to have a better commitment toward athletics and as best try to reduce the fees charged to students for athletics. And so we have done that with this request. So we decided as a team, to do that. We also, typically we have a 3% cap. And it is, if you have seen, we're looking at 2.56, I think is the amount. Paula can tell me if it's 2.6. It may have to be rounded because of 2.6, sorry, she's nodding at me. And that's below what we usually ask for as well. So we went to Chancellor's Council, had a discussion, we all agreed that would be a good proposal. As you can see, we have, I think, 6 fees total that we're asking for increases to. The IT fee that Provost Cobb can speak to, the facilities fee that Dr. Taylor can speak to, and then the textbook, SSC, MUC, and health and counseling, which I can speak to. So what I would ask you all, if you would, my 2 esteemed colleagues, Dr. Taylor and Dr. Cobb, I think if you have questions, they should go first. You can save mine to the end because, as you know, I stay on for the whole meeting, and that will allow them to get to some of the things they have on tap for this evening. So that's the layout. Ask away. And I don't know who's in charge.
Thank you. If there are any questions, we will now entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion.
Senator Aslan, so moved.
Moved by Senator Aslan, is there a second?
Senator Beck, second.
Second by Senator Beck. The floor is now open for discussion.
I have a question about the facilities fee. Specifically, out of more so curiosity, I suppose, how much of the Rendleman Hall allocation will come from like alumni donors and the institution outside of the student fee dollars? Or what is expected roughly?
For alumni donors for maintenance?
Let me refer to my. So the next major building renovation, it says Rendleman Hall for the intended use of additional funds.
Right, those are state allocations. And just a general comment on facility fees. We are sort of at a bare bones minimum right now with respect to repairs on campus. We have a ton of deferred maintenance that we simply aren't doing because we don't have the money for it. The maintenance we're doing are for things that are absolutely essential. Repairing roofs, elevators. Our elevators are old, as you probably know, the campus has been here since 1957. And some of those structures now are under stress. We have a commitment, particularly with COVID-19, to ensure that the campus is clean. So we spend quite a bit of funds on sanitation, PPEs. We spend money to fix repaired roofs. I have a situation right now in the School of Engineering where there is a structural problem with the roof that leaks. There's a hose that goes from the roof to a bucket. There's mold outside of the engineering building, and on and on and on and on. So the percentage of the increase that we're talking about for addressing typical maintenance and renovations, and some of these renovations will be deferred for several years, like Alumni Hall, for example. And what we're typically doing are responding to emergencies and trying to maintain the status quo. So we want to keep the lights on, the air conditioning clean, all of the essential services that are conducive to making sure your classrooms are functioning, your roads are relatively safe. There's a lot to do with the roads. I mean, there are a lot of things going on with facilities that are to the point where some of it's patchwork, but some of it's major renovations as well. And it's not just, yes.
So Dr. Taylor, I think Senator Aslan's question is, would private dollars be raised for the renovation of Rendleman? And I think our answer is really and I'll let you go ahead, but not really, because it's really about the maintenance. It's bathrooms and lights and elevators and that type of thing.
That's not coming from donors. Those are state allocation dollars for these renovations. I'm sorry, I didn't want to prolong that, but I have a laundry list of issues dealing with construction projects all over the campus, and not just for the Edwardsville campus, but also for East St. Louis and for the Alton campus. So we're stretched pretty thin. We're able to do what we can do with the finite amount of money we have right now. But we were thinking in terms of percentages, we could probably get by. Hopefully the economic conditions will turn. We're not really certain of that. We should be able to make sure that the campus again is safe and the structures that you are studying in are safe and that you have clean water again, a roof that does not leak, and all the things that are necessary to keep the campus in condition to that you can study in a very, very meaningful way. And that's really the sum and substance of what the facilities aspect is about. Of course, you all know all this stuff has to work in concert. It's not just the facilities. A lot has to do with academic affairs and Dr. Waple's area as well, dining, housing. All of this is inextricably linked. But at least from my perspective, we want to make sure that the campus infrastructure is at least to the point where we know it's safe for the students, and also some enhancements like LED lighting where appropriate and where we can find the money for it. But again, we have a lot of deferred maintenance that we simply have not been able to do for several years. But in terms of donors, there's no donor money for that.
Could we possibly clarify on the document that was shared with us with the fee review recap before we vote on it to specify that it's not going towards a Rendleman Hall renovation? Because right now that's what the document we have says. And it sounds as though that's not the case.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that document if I could, if you have a copy of it.
I mean, I can screen share it. I'm not positive what I should do. I can email it.
Yeah, Morris, I can share it with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, could we get that revised just so that we're voting on what's actually happening and not?
Well, if I understand correctly, you're questioning from the facilities maintenance fee. So this is the major building renovations that'll happen. So now that Founders is done, the next building coming up is Rendleman.
Yes. So
renovation.
on the document, it states, with the completion of the Founders Hall renovation, we begin to start accumulating funds for the next major building renovation, Rendleman Hall. So it says nothing about anything that Dr. Taylor just spoke about. And I agree that's very important. I just would like that listed on the document before we take a vote on it.
Oh, yeah, it's both.
Oh, yeah.
So yes,
Absolutely.
Okay.
we'll do that.
Or just have that clarified. Okay.
It's both. Thank you.
Okay.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Senator Shahan, I have a question for the IT representative. I was just curious, how much has the fee increased because of the online formats of most classes now? Like, is there a fee increase simply because we have to pay for more services to house online classes, or is this just upkeep in general?
And so it is a combination of things. So certainly the move to remote has required the expansion of all kinds of computing infrastructure, as you can imagine, right? So in the early days of the pandemic, there was a significant investment that had to occur to move everyone online. But then there are just ongoing expenses associated with being remote or even hybrid, because we want to make sure that students have access to the software licenses that they need and the computing infrastructure that they need. So this is less about, we've paid for a whole lot of laptops and webcams and things of that nature, but there is just an expansion of a computing infrastructure that will be necessary in this environment. And quite frankly, this doesn't even keep up with the escalation of expenses we, as a university and as an institution of higher ed in this particular moment, you can imagine that the need for an IT infrastructure isn't diminishing, right? And then you add the conditions of COVID to that. And so just the expenses have gone up. I think the narrative that we submitted also, outlined all the things that this wouldn't be able to cover still. But there are additional, as you suspected, right, additional expansion of licensing, additional hardware costs. And that's not just for online students, it's for students in hybrid classes. It's to make sure that every class can move flexibly and resiliently to whatever modality is needed, given what we've experienced. So it's hard to say this portion is directly attributable to that expansion when we know that our IT needs were escalating already. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, Senator Perry. Also in regards to the IT fee proposal, I guess the question I have for whoever can represent that is, why are we spending money for additional licenses for those things when our Zooms don't even have closed caption? And I know that's an accessibility thing, but I guess my ultimate question is, how many students are utilizing these two programs on a personal device, or how many students need to utilize it?
Yeah, I'd say that list isn't inclusive of everything that it will go toward. Those are just pressing needs that have continued over time. But you're right, there is expanded cost associated with ensuring universal design principles and accessibility in a remote environment. So I think it isn't an inclusive list of everything that has to be covered. You're right to point out that, a couple of those listed are more specific specific to individual programs and a smaller group of students. But I think the escalation of costs and the needs for expansion of Zoom licensing, for closed captioning, for additional supports for kinds of software that most students use. I mean, while every student doesn't use the sort of highest end of Adobe, most students have a need for Adobe, right? And so there are just lots of ways that I think we have to make sure that students have what they need. But those two are probably not ideal examples when you think about all the other expenses that they're incurring.
Senator Beck, Morris Taylor, I have a question for you. You said that we had some deferred things going on last year. Why were they deferred? Was it because we didn't have fees for it, or was it just not a necessity? How did we make that decision?
We rank order and prioritize things that should be addressed, particularly if they deal with safety, like roads, for example, the air, the water, stairwells, those types of things. And that's typically the process we typically use. Now, this deferred maintenance, we've been waiting for the state to release about $24 million in deferred maintenance money. It just has not released, it simply has not released those allocations yet. And until those monies are released, we're sort of in limbo. And the money we get from student fees helps offset some of those priorities. And then we still have to rank order which one of those we want to address first and foremost. Safety is always paramount, regardless. And again, with COVID-19, there are special things we have to be concerned about with classrooms. Going into, for example, the fall of 2021, at least from my perspective, I'm thinking, what is that going to look like in terms of safety? What happens if deferred maintenance dollars have not been released? And then again, we're going to have to ensure and rank order again those things that have to be addressed immediately. That's typically the process we use. Does that answer your question, or?
Yeah, and I have a follow-up question now. So if we
Senator
don't get
Beck, if I could real quickly, I think the other thing, especially what Dr. Cobb said and Dr. Taylor saying, and I'll say later, if you remember, and those of you who were on student government last year, or most of you were students last year, we didn't have a fee increase last year. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Taylor's, and he's the new Vice Chancellor of Administration, congratulations. And so he's inherited a year where we hit COVID, no fee increase, and no release of money from the state. So we're managing all those things as well. So I wanted to make sure we're aware of that. And that also, Dr. Cobb, that 0% fee increase hurt IT a little bit. And that was all happening last fiscal year. If you remember, COVID-19 hit us in last fiscal year. So, and then impacts this fiscal year. So that's why there's a need in those two areas for some support. But go ahead, Senator Beck.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I'm understanding that now. So as far as that 2.62% fee, is that finite? Will this change? Let's say the economy tanks in the next 2 months or so. Is that going to increase, or is that like the absolute final number for that? How does that work?
Well, that's
you talking about the total fee or his fee?
Both. Absolutely. I mean, all three of them, or from IT to facilities to Dr. Waple, yours as well.
So I'll take that, Morris. So the fee, the 2.6% fee that we have requested, that's all the higher we're going to go.
Okay.
So that's not all higher we're going to go. Now, if you all want to go higher and put more money into any of the fees up to 3%, that is up to you. But we are, and I see you all smiling going, but I'm just saying, but 2.6 we thought was a good, instead of, we could have gone to 3, we could have come you with a 3. We said, no, let's do 2.6. It makes better sense with where things are. It's a lower cost per credit hour. So that we're not going to come back with a different request.
Another follow-up question. As far as like, so you said we're supposed to get $24 million in fall of 21. If we don't get that, are we going to see a 3% increase, or would we see around a 2.6% increase? What do you think?
I don't think it would see a 3% increase. One of the things that we've struggled with is the fact that we understand that we cannot fee increase our way out of some of our fiscal issues. So we're very sensitive to that. I'm very sensitive to that, and other vice chancellors are very sensitive to that as well. So going into this discussion, the question really became, how can we really do what we need to do at a minimum, but ensure quality education, quality facilities, without really compromising the mission of what we're trying to accomplish at the university. So we're very, very sensitive to any type of fee increase. I can guarantee you that the Board of Trustees is very sensitive to any type of fee increase. And that's why we've limited this to the extent that we can to ensure, at least from my perspective, that we get enough to carry out the functions that we need to do. And this is assuming that enrollment in the fall will be relatively stable, but we don't know that, so.
Yeah, Dr. Morris, I appreciate you saying that, and I probably should have said at the beginning. So if you know the fees, there's about 16, 17, 18 fees total between all the units. We're only asking for 6 because we prioritized those and said, here are the critical things we need in order to accomplish what we need to accomplish. We have a lot of areas, if you know, a lot of areas who are not taking fee increases. Some have some cash that they can support a non-fee increase, but others, we had to make some tough decisions, the 4 of us, and here's really what we're seeing as the 6 top priorities. So that's kind of how we got there too, but I appreciate what you say, Dr. Taylor.
Yes.
One more question for you. So at this 2.62%, would you see us, let's say like theoretically, if we did want to go 3%, would you see us needing the same amount, or would you see us needing like less next year? If we gave more this year, would you think we'd need around that same amount, or how would that go?
I'll be glad to answer that too. I'll take my colleagues off the hook for this. So here's the history, Senator Beck and all of y'all. Typically, the max fee increase that we have been allowed to go up to is 3%. And so, and as Dr. Taylor said, there's no amount of fee increase that can get us out of all our financial challenges we have. Next year, there may be some different priorities depending on what's happening. I think and as we talked as a team, you know, there are some things that all students use, and IT is one of them and textbooks the other. And then when we're on ground, a majority or most of our students use our facilities. And that includes the upkeep of the grounds and everything. So, you know, those fees will probably be pretty constant. And then it's the others that we have to work around. And there's just a lot of fiscal challenges that we're all facing. And we're all kind of trying to figure this out on the fee end. And we won't even get to the state budget right now because that's not part of this discussion, but it all kind of plays in. And so we will have some tougher decisions down the road depending on what happens in the next month or so. But, and you know, if you wanted to go up to 3, I'm not saying you should, but if you wanted to, you could say, you know, IT needs a little bit more. And I'll tell you, my colleague, Dr. Cobb, that IT probably needs a few more shekels. Textbook could always use a few more shekels, and so could health and counseling. But I think like I said, we've kind of put together this proposal based on the priorities in next year. Another thing to remember is that, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this, our chancellor went to President Mahoney to talk to the board to see if we could do this. And they said, yes, we're okay with going through a process. And we wanted to make sure that was first, because last year, as you remember, in February, the decision was not to do fees. And we didn't want to put all in our departments through a process that in the end was, and it still may in the end. But at least we got approval from the president to go through this process now with you all. And we'll see what next year happens next year, right?
Senator Aslan again. I have a kind of, if this question is irrelevant, feel free to tell me it is irrelevant and I will shoot you an email, Dr. Whipple. Last year, I recall that there was this whole shebang about SIUC versus SIUE and funding and equal funding between the two. Okay, you're shaking your head no, so I'm going to stop that question.
It's not part of this process.
Yes, okay. But would that, if something were to happen with that, would that adjust fees at all?
No, and we don't see that really as being an issue now with the new board and the new president. So
okay.
If you all don't know, Senator Aslan was in my class last fall, master's degree class. So we had a lot of good discussions about stuff happening. And so was Senator Perry.
Fortunately, that is all the time we have for questions. Like I said earlier, I'm sorry.
No, you guys got to get to my questions. Kelly Jo, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, are there's, do you guys want to ask any questions about the 3-4 fees from student affairs? Okay.
Yes.
I can't dictate the meeting, Vice President Akpan, but I think that covered if the first two areas that, you know, Dr. Cobb and Dr. Taylor can decline and step out of the meeting now. But if there are questions, I would assume that people would want to ask Dr. Whipple a few.
Yeah.
Vice President Akpan, are we allowed to ask Dr. Whipple questions? Or...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Senator Aslan.
Nope, sorry, we're done. Bye, see ya. No.
I have so many questions about counseling and health services. Okay, first, with the raise of the counseling and health services fee, a few weeks ago, we had them come in to talk about a copay. With this fee adjustment, would that continue to have the copay added? Because I noticed the increase to health and counseling services was significantly less compared to everyone else's. So I'm wondering if they're banking on us approving a copay.
Well, we assume that you were not approving any of those fees, so they're not included in this fee process, in this fee calculation. So we're proposing the 2 whatever percent as a way to get through next year. Now, if you approve any of those fees, we will gladly take that revenue.
I'm more so asking about the copay that they presented a few weeks ago, where they wanted to apply
it's all
a
part
copay.
of the. Sorry, Senator Aslan. It's all part of the big. They propose a lot of fees for student government to review, including a no-show fee and an ADHD testing fee, and so those are all together. And we assumed we're saying we can do 2 whatever it is, Paula. I'm not looking at the direct number without those fees.
I don't think you're understanding my question, so let me try and rephrase it. So a couple weeks ago, they came. Dr. Bodie and Rianne came to Senate, and they were like, we want to have a copay to student government because we're not getting fee funding. That conversation has clearly since changed. So now we are talking about adding fees. Will that copay still exist next year? Because that's what they wanted to implement as soon as, I think, next semester, a copay.
You all have to approve the copay fee. That's in your hands, all y'all.
But is that still being considered with?
It is not in our current financial projections.
Okay, so if we
do not assume that the copays are implemented.
Yep.
Okay, so if we
because
approve
we do
the
not
fees,
have
there
support.
Won't be a copay?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I was saying it and it just wasn't coming out the right way.
Yes.
Senator Perry, a question for you, Dr. Whipple. You oversee textbook services, correct?
Yes, ultimately, yes.
Ultimately, okay. So I'm going to ask a question about that. Can you kind of explain the 3-year adoption cycle for grad books?
Yeah, this is the beginning of the 3-year adoption phase. So graduate textbooks will be able to go into a 3-year phase for ordering textbooks to go to the next 3 years. So Kelly Jo and I went out pre-COVID and spoke to the graduate program directors. We had a series of meetings with them. We've talked to graduate council before you all got on board with that, and have had a lot of discussions about graduate programs adopting textbooks. We're anticipating that more graduate programs will get on board with this. Those textbooks cost a little bit more than undergrad books, but will cost you less than if you were buying them on your own. So we will be, I think it's 300 some thousand more we're anticipating, Paul, if I remember, for graduate textbooks.
Yeah, I'm going to hop in here real quick. So one of the explanations that was given for the usage in the additional textbook fee revenue is the 3-year adoption on grad books. So 3 years ago is when we switched to the consolidated hourly fee structure. And that's when grad books were kind of allowed into textbook at that time. So now that we're hitting that 3-year mark, the ones that were first using it are up for their 3-year renewal.
Okay, so a question going off what you just said. If a program does not use that, does this require them to use that since it's an increase to the student fee, so they could still decide not to use it?
Correct.
Yep.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We as the university cannot dictate what the faculty are using in the classroom. So while we have the textbook rental program available, we cannot tell them they have to use it.
Senator Beck, so in the future, like next year, if we are coming to another fee review, I guess we're going to see that textbook service number drop because this is the 3-year renewing thing, so it's not going to be as high. Is that
so
accurate?
Well. So we have increased costs in textbook services, and next year's just another. I don't even want to get into next year. So what's driving the cost up right now, which should not surprise you all, is that the access codes, the one-time use access codes, are what's driving up the cost, millions of dollars, and you can only use them once. So like a textbook has a 3-year cycle, right? You buy it in bulk and you keep it for 3 years and that's it. But textbooks can only be used one time, one semester, and then they're gone. Access codes. So, and we've seen a huge increase in that. And like I said, millions, just millions of dollars going toward just access codes alone. And now that we're, and going almost, well, at the beginning of the year, 27% remote. Now we're about 11% remote. 11% on ground. More faculty are using those access codes in lieu of textbooks. But the other thing that happened that also affected this year, which we weren't ready for, well, we didn't plan for, but we had to, is we mailed a lot of textbooks out because people weren't able to physically come in and pick them up. So there's an added cost to mail out and return those books that's different than our normal process of just coming in and get them. So just like I said, every student has the opportunity, as long as their programs decide to use textbook services. By the way, if you're in my class, I'm going through textbook services. So, if you're taking my class, you too, I've already ordered the book, right? Saving you money, just saying.
Senator Aslan, again, I was just curious how that prioritization of what fees got chosen and what fees didn't get chosen happened. Specifically, I'm thinking about my GA personally, but I know that there's other people there's a ton of other offices on campus. So how was it decided what took priority over what?
Yeah, so, Student Affairs has, Paula, 11 of the fees, 11 not including housing and dining. And so I will tell you every year, and Kelly Jo is a director, can attest to this, and Paul, who's our finance person, we have discussions every year about the fees and who can do what, who can absorb what, who can stand alone without having a fee increase. We've sacrificed back and forth. There were a couple of years ago where textbook services didn't take an increase, so we could do some things in some other areas. And so it fluctuates, so we haven't done too many fee increases in campus rec and student fitness center because Keith has done a pretty good job, Keith Becker, of managing that, but next year he's going to need one. We talked to career development in order to make their budget work. They're going to have to reduce some expenses in order to make this fee work. In CAB and SAO and some other places, because of COVID and fewer campus events, we've been able to accumulate some cash that will help sustain us not only through this year, but the next year. But we go back to more on ground and more events. Next year will be okay, but the year after. So it's always a work in progress for us. And I will commend our directors who have honest discussions with one another. And when we talk about the priorities and those type of things, people who give and take right and left to help each other out and try to make it work. But, we've had, and that's in the midst of COVID and in the midst of minimum wage increase and in the midst of all the cuts. There's just a whole bunch of stuff, guys, the part of the, if I may, just one more step, the dining budget is part of the overall MUC budget. So Kelly Jo, bless her soul, I say bless her soul a lot, Cougar Store, textbook, Kimmel, MUC marketing, dining, all in one big budget, though textbook is separate, but still oversees that. And so, dining's down right now. That shouldn't surprise any of you. We have fewer people on campus. So the deficit in dining impacts the overall MUC budget. And so when we look at that, we're just trying to stay afloat in the MUC. So that's kind of, and like I said, we've made choices right and left and sacrifice for each other as a division, which it's difficult. Paula can attest to this. If we were in normal 3% time, the overall fee increase for student affairs would be about $43. That's for 11 fees. And that becomes a challenge for us when we have 11 fee units. So we have to make sacrifices right and left in prioritization. So we've done that very well. And I have a great team that knows how to play well in the sandbox together. And this new process where we got together with the other vice chancellors, I said worked well too, where we prioritized university-wise what needed it and what didn't. So, good question.
Senator Perry, another question. Sorry, everyone. Dr. Waple, a question for you is, I've heard talks of budget cuts within departments. Do you foresee any of these potential fee increases helping with those budget cuts as where they wouldn't have to happen? Because I know the university has probably lost a lot of money this year. That's common knowledge, but would any, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I think Dr. Taylor said this very well. There's no amount of fee increase that can get us out of all of the budget jail. Budget challenges, sorry, not budget jail. Sorry, Kelly Jo gave me the look. Budget challenges. So, no, we're going to have to make additional cuts regardless of the fee increase. If there is no fee increase, we are in big trouble in so many areas. I don't even think about that. But the other thing that plays into this, so there's a couple things. In this state budget world, I'm going in a real different direction for y'all, but you need to hear this. The graduated income tax in the state of Illinois was defeated. So if you've heard the governor, he's threatened major cuts and major cuts to higher ed. And that's a state budget, which is different than fees. So that's really a lot of things in academic affairs with Dr. Cobb and a lot of things with Dr. Taylor in facilities and athletics and somewhat in our division. But, we've had a decline in when we made the announcement about going more remote in July, with classes, we had 600 students who were living in housing cancel their contracts. And so fewer contracts means also fewer people on the 60/40 meal plan, which causes the deficit in dining, which then impacts the muck. So, you know, what we've done, guys, is, and it's unfortunate, we've, Kelly Jo, I think, sent me a stat that in the MUC and dining, we've reduced student employment by 54%. Out of necessity, the rec has reduced. You know that on campus, a lot of places on campus have reduced student employment, and that hurts us, hurts retention of students, hurts student success, operations as well. We've been fortunate, we've been able to employ our staff, but another budget challenge may cause us to think differently. We have to look at things differently, especially in some areas where we're hemorrhaging money. So it's just but we will continue to operate as an institution. We will continue to meet student needs, and we'll have to prioritize, just like we did here with the proposed fee increase. So we're always thinking about that and looking at that and saying, well, we still have 13,000 students. Next fall, the plan is to have more classes on ground. So hope that the health of the region gets better and we move in the direction we have more students living on campus, more students eating, more students doing all the things that we like to do in safe world. So. Okay, any more questions for me about?
Senator Shahan, a quick one. So you kind of mentioned at the beginning that, you know, you heard us loud and clear when we said that we didn't want a fee increase for athletics, and Chancellor Pembroke also heard us loud and clear when we were talking about that. Does that mean that more money is going to be allocated to the athletic department from the actual university rather than from student fees this next year? Because obviously they still are going to need money. So how are they going to make up that money since they're not on this list?
Yeah, so I don't know about more, but the 3% that athletics would have requested, from what I understand, is going to be supported by state dollars coming from the chancellor's office. So I think the 3% increase athletics would generate around 137,000. I mean, give or take some on the end, either end, and I believe the chancellor is going to fund that centrally to athletics. But he and Tim Hall are working on a budget. I believe the chancellor will need to invest more money because the NCAA has made testing requirements that are just out of this world. Athletes have to test 3 times a week in season. Basketball starts, if it happens, at the end of this month, and then in January, all 16 teams are playing. So that will take an investment of money in order to just do the testing that NCAA and OVC are requiring of athletics. So I think that's really the first, other than covering the fee increase, I think that's the first infusion of money is for the testing. But our hope is, guys, that we don't come back to student government in the future with a fee increase for athletics, and that state money goes more and maybe that fee comes down a bit. That's the goal. That's the goal. Oh, Senator Aslan took her mute off.
Yes, bouncing off of Senator Shahan's question, and again, this might be irrelevant, and if it is, just do that head shake and I'll stop asking this question. But has there been any discussion about possibly leaving the NC Division I sports in order to reduce the cost of, okay. I'm gonna send you an email, Dr. Whipple.
No, we're in D1 to stay. We're in D1 to stay.
Okay, last question, Senator Perry. Sorry, Dr. Whipple and everyone.
It's okay. Senator Akpan is just looking at me kind of like, okay, go ahead.
This is my last one, I promise. In regards to if the student fees don't pass, I know you mentioned looking at other ways to save money, but I see for the university center, one of them is supporting minimum wage increases for students. If this didn't pass, would there be a way maybe to find money for the student employees, or do you think there would be more cuts to student jobs on campus?
Well, there's a couple factors there, Senator Perry. The fee increase is one piece, but the occupancy on campus has to increase in housing, and the number of people and students coming into the MUC, visiting our dining locations, visiting our vending locations. I mean, we're just not having any of that right now. That it kind of goes all hand in hand. And so, the minimum wage goes up to $11 in January, coming right around the corner, and will go up $1 every year. We don't have any control over that. And it's just not a undergraduate student minimum wage. It includes employees, employees in dining, employees in MUC, or BS, and includes our GAs too, because we want to make sure in the future that there's a good gap between what an undergraduate student makes and a graduate student makes. So I'm hoping, we still have operations though too. And so, if in the fall, the proposal from the Academic Comedy Task Force is 55% of all classes are on ground or hybrid, that's about 1,700 classes. If that happens, and majority of the classes are for first year students, I think we might see some increases in revenue. Now, Kelly Jo would be the first to tell you, we still are going to have challenges even if that happens. I will share this with you all, and this is out of your control, Paula's control, Kelly Jo's control, and my control, and even the chancellor. We could still get to April. I've shared this with you, and the board could say, you know what, or the governor could say, I'll give you money, higher ed, but you can't increase your cost of attendance. And so if we get to that point and there's another year of no fee increase, we have major challenges. And that shouldn't surprise anyone on this call, or on the Zoom, sorry. But that we already have major challenges, but then they become catastrophic in a few areas if there's no fee increase to these 6 areas in April when the board votes on it. No pressure, Trustee Graham, just saying. So as always, you guys know how to find me, jwapel@siue.edu. If you have more questions or concerns or things, Bridget, you're probably gonna send me 3 emails. Please go ahead and do that. And and if you need me to come to another meeting, or my other 2 colleagues to come again, if you have further questions, we are open to that as well. But I appreciate your time, I appreciate your questions and thinking about this deeply, because you are representing all 13,000 students that attend our campus. So, and thank you for the extra time, Vice President Akpan.
No problem, anytime. But yeah, like Dr. Wapel said, you can email him, and also, yes, as just mentioned, there's a document on Teams where you can put questions about the fee review. So yeah, thank you again, Dr. Wapel. And at that time, I will now entertain a motion to close the floor for discussion.
Senator Aslan, so moved.
Moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Odell, second.
Seconded by Senator Odell. Floor is now closed for discussion. Moving on to line item 4, approval of minutes for October 30th Senate meeting. I'll give you a brief moment to look for the minutes, and when ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Senator Aslan, I move to approve.
Moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Burnett. Senator Shahan, second.
Second by Senator Burnett. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan.
Aye.
Senator Beck.
Aye.
Senator Brim.
Aye.
Senator Burnett.
Aye.
Senator Childerson.
Aye.
Senator Gorin.
Aye.
Senator Hawkins.
Aye.
Senator Hull.
Aye.
Senator Jackson.
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Krager,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shaw,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
All right, moving on to line item 5, additions to agenda. Seeing none, we move on to line item 6, old business, line 1, COVID-19 updates, and I will hand over to our COVID coordinator, Mike Schultz.
Good evening. Glad I get to spend some time with you. Let me share my screen and give you a little bit of an update. I can't see this. Excuse me, I'm trying to get to the button that's. There we go. Okay, so sorry about that. So here's the update from Madison County Public Health today. As you're aware, the whole state and all of its regions are on mitigations because of the whole state being high. Our positivity rate right now is 11.47. We will not go down until it's below 8%. It's having a major effect. I'm starting to see with our numbers also here on campus. There's 135 new cases today with significant testing that has taken place. You could see in Edwardsville in Madison County, 22 is second largest to Alton at 23. Our population is still represented pretty highly within this group. Looking at the university dashboard, we had 11 cases of students and 3 cases of faculty and staff last week that our 14-day positive test is at 19 and 4. Our high mark was at 32. I can tell you I'm getting a little concerned because on Friday and then looking at the numbers today, we're already past our weekly total of 11 for this week. And if it continues to come in, we're going to have some concerns. So we're trying to get to Thanksgiving without having to make any other changes on campus. So if we could get the word out to our students, it would be very helpful. The governor has instructed all of the restaurants in the area to not serve inside, and that has not been the case. That is what is happening. There's 6, 7, 10 restaurants that are still serving inside, and I think that's contributing. I've heard of a couple of parties of student groups that are happening. I'm starting to think that some of our numbers that are coming in are because of Halloween gatherings. My suggestion to students right now is that stay low, keep your bubble very small, wear your mask, stay outside that 6-foot distance. Looking at the numbers, this semester we've had 174 positives. Like I said, 23 of those have happened in the last 2 weeks. You can see our testing. The numbers where you see this every other week is because that is including student athletes that are required to get some testing. So that's where our numbers are, but we're still getting some testing. What we're hearing from some social media chatter is that families are asking their students to get tested before they come home and bring, I want to say cooties, but bring the disease home. We strongly encourage you to get tested so that you know that you're safe and not bringing something to an elderly grandparent or something like that, aunt or uncle. So there are testing available and encourage you to do that. Our positivity rate has remained pretty low. I think we should be proud about that. But we need to finish off the semester strong and make sure that we get there. Diagnostic testing, these are people that really have symptoms that are coming into health service and wanting to be tested. You can see what has been happening there. Total tests that we've conducted this semester is 1,020. And University Housing has used 1% of their space for isolation and quarantine space last week. It's gone up a little bit this week at the start of this week. Last time when I was here, I talked to you about how we were planning mandatory testing with University of Illinois saliva test. We've run into a stumbling act here, and we've decided not to do that. And let me tell you why. First, none of the state institutions and the University of Illinois have come to contractual agreement. And that's number one. Probably the bigger one, though, is that they are not FDA approved. The University of Illinois Shield is not FDA approved to do the test outside of the University of Illinois. And they can't guarantee us when they would get that approval. So we've had to make a decision to continue planning on the if or trying to find another alternative. So we have chosen to move away from the University of Illinois Shield process. So this is what we're looking at right now. University housing residents, since they're living in community living, and it has a high chance of passing the virus, we're working on requiring all university housing students to be tested prior to coming back to campus, before, so that they don't share that spread. And it's kind of like the same thing that we're talking about, the shifting of the bubble, where families are asking that students get tested before they come home. We're asking that students, before they come back to our community, that they be tested, so that we're not shifting that bubble. Now, what we're planning for all other on-ground students and employees, including university housing students, once they get back on campus within 48 hours, we're asking them to be tested on campus, and we will provide that. We're still trying to work on a strategy to determine how to accomplish that, and we're getting close. And that this is guided by a change in policy from the CDC. CDC back in June of 2020 said that it did not recommending testing all students, faculty, and staff upon their return to campus. They've changed that recently as September 30th, and they've made a few more adjustments. State that they recommend that we test people upon re-entry and then regularly after that. So what we're looking at doing after that initial testing period in January is that we would do random testing, and we're determining what is random, significantly random, and we would be providing incentives so that we get better participation than we have this semester. It has not been settled on what those incentives might be, but it could be as little as a T-shirt to a drawing for tuition. This is how serious we are about getting students and employees to test during the spring semester. With the growth and going into flu season, it's very important that we have some type of testing program and that we're not spreading this disease so that we all can stay in the Edwardsville community. I'd be remiss if I didn't put a plug in for my colleague, Director Greenwald, by reminding you, reminding you to get your flu shot. It's more important this year than any other so that we can prevent not only the flu, but people looking at you thinking that you have COVID and you might only have the flu. How can I answer your questions?
Thank you. If there are any questions, I will now entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion.
Senator Aslan, so moved.
Moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Brim, second.
Second by Senator Brim. Floor is now open for discussion.
Senator Aslan, I feel like I asked this.
Does this work for me too? Go ahead.
Only if it's a stupid question, but I don't think this is a stupid question. Or if it's a too specific question, I should clarify. There's no such thing as stupid questions. Anyway, I feel like I ask this every time, but to what do we have a point where if testing, like if positive results come back too high, is there a point where we will shut campus down, and what is that point, and how close are we to that point?
That's a very good question. So I will answer that. Yeah, I will answer that. There is a document that has been worked on for the last 2 months or so, called Triggers and Mitigations. It's a document that exactly lays out that kind of information. It is going to what we call the core team that meets 3 times a week, was meeting every day. Now it's down to 3 times a week, of the chancellor, vice chancellors, and select others that are dealing with making COVID decisions and reviewing the data and so forth, keeping a very close eye on that. And that document is going for approval on Wednesday. It just got sent out on Friday. So I think that document will be made public right after it's approved, and that will give you the guidance. There's several different things, and at different levels of triggers, it gives different suggestions of mitigations. So I don't have it memorized here, but I could tell you that yes, that is a document that we should have public pretty soon.
Yes, and we're, Senator Aslan, based on the proposed mitigations, we are currently, based on the numbers that Mike has accumulated, we're not near a mitigation. So I think we'll make it to Thanksgiving the way we have been operating. Then we'll see. We'll see what happens after Thanksgiving.
And I'll give you an example. I think I talked to you, I don't know, a month and a half ago about a hotspot that we saw happening in an off-campus apartment complex. That was a trigger for us, and the mitigation was to send our strong arm, Dr. Waple, to that complex to have a discussion with that complex to tighten up some of the policies they had and make them aware of the situation that they had. And that mitigation, I don't know that we might, since that mitigation, I think we might have had 1 or 2 positives come from that complex.
Senator Chillerson, so I've actually been able to do 2 screening tests on campus. Both came back negative. And with each of those, my results took respectively 2 days and 3 days to get my results back. I unfortunately planned those wrong around the weekend, and so that ended up being 5 days when I tested on Wednesday. Is there, with us increasing testing in January, especially with athletes having to test a lot more, is there a plan for the new testing wise to have quicker results, or is it still going to be in that same result timeline of 2 to 3 days?
We're very concerned about that. And something that we're looking at, and Senator Perry has represented you guys well on this committee and has brought up that particular issue also. The way that our screening tests go right now, we're using the Quest lab, and screening tests go to the bottom of the pile. What we're very concerned of as we come back in January, that there'll be considerable more positives around the state and within the region, and that there will be many more tests, and those test results could take longer. We're in negotiation with a firm now that will guarantee us results within 72 hours. That's what they would put in a contract, but they have told me on the side, not contractually, that they plan to get those to us within 24 hours after they receive the test. So I think we can improve on that, but we would really improve on what I think the environment's going to be in January. So that's been a very strong consideration.
Thank you.
Good question.
Senator Shahan, just a quick question. So you mentioned that everybody who is going to be on campus next semester needs to get a test before they return. Since there are quite a few students who are living off campus this semester near campus, who may be able to maybe a week before classes start, would there be any incentive for them to come in early to get their tests so that maybe there's not so much of a rush?
Great question. Yeah. Our plan is to start testing on January 4th. And the idea is January 4th, that week, to get the employees on campus and any student staff workers on campus, any graduate assistants on campus, to get as many as we can get tested during that week. We're not going to turn anyone away during that time. That second week, that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the target is faculty. Because that's typically when they come to start preparing for the next semester coming back to campus. Again, any students that are in the area, yes, we would encourage them to come in and get tested. We're trying to get as many of those done early on so that on that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Martin Luther King's holiday, we would continually be testing, but hopefully that we can reduce it by having people that week and a half before tested. So yes, we would definitely be encouraged.
Senator Aslan, oddly specific question that you may or may not have already thought of. So if I were to live off campus, would it be, and I were to leave for Christmas and come back or whatever, would it be 48 hours since I came back to like my apartment off campus, or would it be 48 hours from the first time that I set foot on campus that I would have to get tested?
48 hours after you come back. So for on campus, you're talking about, right?
Yeah. So like I work on campus, but I live off campus.
It's 48 hours when you re-engage with the university.
Okay.
External Affairs Officer Kyle. Hi, thanks for coming in. So I personally work for housing, and I know a lot of students are having the options to stay during break periods. How would testing work for the students that do opt to stay on?
Yeah, Housing Director Mallory Sedaris is working on this policy. We reviewed a draft of it today. And basically, people that are here, we're going to encourage them as soon as we begin testing in January, that they go ahead and get tested.
Senator Sherman, I'm not sure if you already said this, but what kind of testing will you be offering? Will it be the one that's like the spit test? Will it be one you administer yourself, like the nasal swab, or is it someone actually giving you the nasal swab on campus?
Well, we call the spit test the saliva test, and that's what we would be using is the saliva test. Now, ongoing for the random sample, that has not, we're in between if it'll be the gentle nasal swab and not the tickle the brain nasal swab. So it'll either be that or the saliva test. You guys all got good questions, and I actually have answers.
Senator Beck, I've got 2 questions for you. The first one, if there's a vaccine that comes out, are you guys going to require us to get that vaccine?
That has not been determined yet.
Okay. And then as far as the incentives goes for random screening, you said that there might be something as far as tuition coverage. Where would the fees or where would the funding come from that?
The university has an allotment of tuition waivers that they are allowed to give per state guidelines. So it would just be one of those thing. It would not be a student fee because it's on the tuition side.
Okay.
We've also talked about using our foundation accounts for some of the incentives as well, so that we wouldn't use student fee dollars for that.
Senator Aslan again, I just want to make sure I'm understanding because I think I'm either misunderstood you or something. When we were talking about the saliva test, I understood it to mean that it wasn't FDA approved and therefore we couldn't use the saliva test. Or
the University of Illinois SHIELD program does not have FDA approval. The lab that we are looking at using does have FDA approval.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Washington University has approval for the SHIELD test. Yale University has approval for the saliva test. That's SHIELD. WashU has saliva test that's been approved by the FDA. So does Yale. U of I has it for their campus, but not for outside of their campus. And they're going through that process. But the lab that we're looking at does have approval through FDA. So it's specific to the lab it's tied to.
There are no more questions. I'll entertain a motion to close the floor for discussion.
Senator Wheeler, I move to close the floor.
Senator Hawkins, second.
Moved by Senator Wheeler, seconded by Senator Hawkins. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to line item 7, new business, line 1, new organization allocation, line A, and I will hand that over to Financial Officer Dreppard.
So for this, the Pre-Health Hub is requesting a annual allocation as a new organization. They're requesting the full $200 amount, which they are eligible for because of when they were recognized as an organization. They'll be using that allocation for just various office supplies, things of that sort, some things for promoting activities and things of that sort. So yeah, pretty standard request. Oh, and Finance Board voted informally on this. I meant to say that, sorry. We voted informally to approve that.
If there are any questions, I will go ahead and entertain motion, open the floor for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Wheeler, I move to approve.
Moved by Senator Wheeler. Is there a second?
Senator Burnett, second.
Seconded by Senator Burnett. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Aye.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Dean,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Ho,
Aye.
Senator Jackson,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Krager,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shao,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations to that organization. Moving on to line 2, virtual conference funding request, line A. I'll hand it back over to Financial Officer Dreppard.
So for this request, the Student Affairs Graduate Alliance is requesting $600 for a conference. The fee for the conference is $29 per person, and they will be sending at least 21 is the idea. This will cover the registration for the majority of 21 people. It won't completely cover 21, but it'll be more than 22. And it's the NASPA conference, which is a big conference for that group. And it'll be very beneficial to them and give them a lot of insight into things that are happening right now with higher education and things of that sort, which is really important because of everything happening with COVID. Like, there's a lot of big conversations that need to be happening. And the Finance Board did vote informally to approve this request. However, we didn't have quorum, so.
All right, if anybody has any questions, I will entertain a motion, open the floor for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Odell so moved.
I'll move to
Not for the discussion, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Move to approve by Senator Odell. Is there a second?
Senator Beck, second.
Seconded by Senator Beck. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Abstain.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Brim,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Ho,
Aye.
Senator Jackson,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Krager,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Abstain.
Senator Randolph, Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shao,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations to that organization. Moving on to line 3, petitioning organizations, line A. I will hand that over to Organization Relations Officer ACPAN.
So we only have one group petitioning today, and that's Every Vote Counts. Here is their statement of objectives. The objective of Every Vote Counts SIUE is to be an active hub of civic engagement on campus. We are guided by the Every Vote Counts mission that more people should vote and the electorate should reflect our country's demographics. To this end, our organization has three functions. First, through voter registration, social campaigns, and other get out the vote efforts. We hope to bolster the participation of groups that are underrepresented in our country and state, particularly student voters. Next, through legislative advocacy and lobbying, we support pro-voter policies while opposing voter suppression. Finally, through our civic education division, which involves on-campus initiatives and community outreach to high schoolers approaching voting age, we aim to help young people overcome barriers to voting, learn the importance of their votes, and ultimately make informed and independent decisions on the ballot. So SOAB asked this organization questions at the last meeting, but we didn't have quorum, so we didn't vote. So basically, they're just the Edwardsville chapter of the National Every Vote Counts. They're nonpartisan, student ran, and they just want to empower voter turnout and expand voter access.
All right, if anybody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Aslan, I move to approve.
Moved to approve by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Burnett, second.
Seconded by Senator Burnett. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Aye.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Brim,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Ho,
Aye.
Senator Jackson,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Krager,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Obert,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan, Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shao,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations to that organization. Moving on to line item 8, presidential appointments / personnel appointments. Seeing none, we will move on to line item 9, open forum. If there are any questions or comments from the YouTube stream, now's the time to hear them.
There are none at this time.
All right. Moving on to line item 10, Senate reports.
Senator Aslan.
My report is in the packet, mostly just continuing to attend University Planning and Budget Council along with Graduate Council and recruiting students to participate in committees via the Get Involved form.
Senator Beck.
My report is in the packet. The first part of my report just kind of talks about that incident that happened on October 31st about this gentleman who exposed himself to a girl. There's information on that if you want to read that in the report. If you guys don't feel safe on campus, there's a phone number you can call to, it's like a non-emergency number. So if you ever want to walk to a class or anything like that or escorted anywhere, I would definitely recommend checking that out. The committees I'm in, finance and CHAP, are going great. My most exciting thing, the thing I'm really looking forward to right now, Senator Childerson and I are working on putting together a finance workshop or a personal finance kind of thing. Pretty much what it's going to be about 30 minutes of how to like save while you're in college or how to invest while you're in college. I don't know if you guys know what a Roth IRA is or 401k is, but these are like some of the most important investment vehicles you guys could ever have. So as more information comes out, I'm going to shoot that to you. So I definitely recommend like looking at that or messaging me and asking me about it. I love talking about personal finance. So this is something that I really think that Senator Childerson and I can hit on the head. That's it.
Senator Brim.
I'm continuing to attend committee meetings, and I did the student publications meeting today. One thing we didn't really discuss was in the agenda is they're hiring opinion editor, writers and sports. No, that's not correct. I'm stupid. Disregard that. Also, Senator Rondell and I are planning something, and she can talk about that.
Senator Burnett.
My report is in the packet. I am planning a trivia night virtually, obviously. If anybody is interested in helping me put together this event, just message me. And then I have appeals and committee and parking and trafficking committee this upcoming Friday.
Senator Childerson?
Yeah, my report is in the packet. I've continued to attend External Affairs Committee and UPBC. Kind of like Senator Beck mentioned, we're both very excited about working on this financial education workshop because financial education is very important. I'm going to leave it at that for you guys because I don't want you guys to get too overstimulated with it and like don't want to hype you guys up too much here. But yeah, and then I'm just really excited for the rest of the semester.
Senator Gorin?
My report is in the packet. I've been working on my my access survey that I sent out. I got about 31 responses, and if you want to see the results to those, feel free to email me and I can send you the link. Most of the responses really just said people were struggling with Zoom fatigue and just feeling like they're not learning the material. So I thought maybe that we could work together as senators and exec to put something together to help the students with that, since that's such a big issue for like everyone, I think. And then other than that, I have the appeals committee on Friday and parking and traffic committee meeting on Friday as well. And that's it.
Senator Hawkins?
My report is in the packet. I just wanted to stress Senator Shahan had sent a document from the athletic director showing a bunch of opportunities for students. That's great to get to your constituents. Another thing the athletic director really wanted to stress was that they were not making a formal ask for money and that it hasn't even been approved or anything like that, and that they were merely looking at the situation if something like that were to occur.
Senator Holt?
My report is in the packet. But again, the dental students seem content with the way things are going. We are just trying to make the best of our circumstances. But yeah, hope everybody is doing well.
Senator Jackson?
My report is out of the packet. I have a textbook advisory committee meeting on Friday, and then Senator Obert reached out to Senator Hawkins and I about a movie night, but I'll let her talk more on that.
Senator Jones?
My report is in the packet. I just want to highlight that we will be trying to send out our next survey this week, and tomorrow I'll be speaking with Senator Randolph about planning our 2 events.
Senator Krager?
My report is in the packet, and I just wanted to point out that I've been going to committee meetings and that I am working on a survey to send out to my constituents regarding like how they prefer to be taught, like asynchronous versus synchronous, and what they would like to see to help with that. And then I also just wanted to say that I'm proud of everything that everyone's been doing for student government.
Senator Morgan?
My report is in the packet. I really have not much to add onto it or to what Senator Ho said.
Senator Obert?
My report is in the packet, and I am currently working on a movie night for any student at SIUE to come to with Senator Hawkins and Senator Jackson, and hopefully to have more information about that soon.
Senator Odell?
My report is not in the packet, but like Senator Brim said, we are working on a school supply drive for the education majors in our school, and I've been going to committee meetings, and I think that's about it that I have to report on.
Senator Perry?
My report is in the packet, and I have attended lots of mandatory testing committee meetings. So as always, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll be sure your concerns are heard from the committee. Also, just attending other committees, having a good old time. That's it.
Senator Randolph?
My report is in the packet.
Since the last Senate meeting, I have had an External Affairs Committee meeting. We talked about the Veterans Day luncheon and winter wishes. And we also talked about the Edwardsville trunk or treat that was on Friday, October 30th, which was a great turnout. And I think we also have a meeting tomorrow as well, I believe. And then also me and Senator Jones are working on 2 events for engineering students, but one of them, which is the survey that'll be sent out soon.
Senator Sherman?
My report is in the packet. Like Senator Hawkins and Senator Shahan said, there's a document from ICAC, the athletic director, Tim Hall. Please go read it. And if you have any comments or questions, or you hear your peers saying things about athletics, please email, good and bad, everything, just compliments, whatever. Please email those to me so I can bring them to the next ICAC meeting. And then this Thursday, I have a marketing committee meeting.
Senator Shahan?
My report is in the packet. Can everybody hear me okay? Like, somebody give me a thumbs up, because I know I couldn't be heard the last time I said aye. Awesome. Thank you so much. I kind of finished reading through the survey responses from the freshmen that I sent out about a month ago. There were a lot of them, and a lot of them were very detailed, so it took a while. But the biggest thing that I heard from them was that they really don't know how to thrive in an environment like this. They want to meet new people, but they really don't know how to with the COVID restrictions, and they have a lot of Zoom fatigue. So even if we're hosting events on Zoom, they don't want to attend them because they're already kind of like tired of looking at a screen all day. So if anybody has any events that have been really successful over Zoom, that had a really high turnout, or people really enjoyed, please send them my way, because I would still love to do something with the freshmen. In addition to that, I just wanted to mention that there were a total of 6 responses that did say that they were transferring back home next semester due to COVID restrictions or feelings of isolation, and that they were not planning on transferring back to SIUE after the COVID situation had resolved in some way. So I thought that was kind of important to note. My next committee meeting is next week on Friday for Finance Board, and ICAC doesn't meet again until the 27th.
Senator Shao?
My report is in the packet, and I'd just like to highlight that tomorrow, the Student Society of Health System Pharmacists is going to be hosting a residency panel for pharmacy students who are interested in doing postgraduate education. And we will just be inviting some current residents from various hospitals, as well as community retail pharmacies and pharmaceutical industry to come and share their experiences about pharmacy residency. And also the Academic Standards and Policy Committee that I'm on, we have scheduled meetings for the rest of the semester as well as the spring semester.
Senator Wheeler?
My report is in the packet. I don't really have much to highlight on other than sending any emails of any questions or concerns you have to Senator Sherman, Senator Hawkins, Senator Shahan, or myself. I'm working on sending out a survey to my constituents about what has been challenging on Zoom, or like for online classes and nursing specifically, what they've been doing well, on how their professors can engage them more, etc. And I'll be meeting with Dr. Papkas this week about that.
Senator Winsing?
My report is in the packet. I just wanted to highlight one of the committees that I'm involved with, the Strategic Planning Committee. So I'm in one of 6 teams that are working together to essentially brainstorm and implement ideas to better campus. So my team's second meeting's tomorrow, actually, and we're focusing on developing ideas and brainstorming things to protect the university's physical and financial assets. So I will keep you guys updated on that.
Sorry about that. We now move on to line item 11, executive reports.
President Walters.
My report is in the packet, and I also want to add that make sure you write down any questions that didn't get answered tonight in the fee review portion of the meeting. The document is in the fee review folder on Teams. And you can also feel free to email me if you have any questions that you don't think belong in the document.
Vice President Ekpan.
My report is in the packet. This Wednesday, I'll be attending another strategic planning meeting. My group's focusing on increasing retention for marginalized, underrepresented, and non-traditional SIUE students in just ways that we can cater to their academic needs, personal needs, and just whatever can help them succeed academically.
Student Trustee Graham.
My report is in the packet. The only update I have is that the Board of Trustees meeting for December 3rd is still scheduled to be at Carbondale.
Financial Officer Drephart.
My report is in the packet. Finance board's been going well, but we still need more members. So tell your friends and try and get us some more people, please. Moving forward, I want to work with marketing and communications to promote the different funding opportunities that we have over social media. So hopefully we see more funding requests next semester.
Internal Affairs Officer Lutz.
My report is in the packet. I just want to thank everyone that came out to help at the trunk or treat. It was really fun. It was really cold, but it was really fun. So check Teams for the information about the bonding events. If you have any questions, let me know. I will also be sending out a reminder probably after Thanksgiving break to send me your schedules for spring semester so I can make sure that like committees and stuff work out well. So just be on the lookout for that.
External Affairs Officer Kyle.
My report is in the packet. I'd just like to highlight the election's over, so no more early voting stuff to work on. So thank you if anyone helped with that, and thanks if you went out and voted, doing your civic duty. I'd just like to add that also Veterans Day Luncheon is this Friday, so if you'd like to do a note, the Google Forms open. They can be very generic, very simple. We just want to give our thanks.
Marketing Communication Officer Ballard.
I listed that there was going to be the marketing and communications webinar that would be this Friday. We're going to change that, and instead we're going to be just doing we're going to be sending tips and just advice to student organizations and to small businesses. I also will be having a marketing and communications meeting this Thursday, and that's all I have.
Organization Relations Officer Ackman.
My report is in the packet. I'm really happy that Every Vote Counts just got approved. They were the only organization at our last meeting, and at the next meeting this Friday, we have Black Psychology Club and Allies. So I hope to have that approved here as well at our next Senate meeting. And some of the main concerns that people bring to me, like different organization leaders, are like, how do they recruit new members during this climate? So if anybody has any tips for that, I'll take suggestions to get back to them with, so thanks.
Student Diversity Officer McKenzie.
My report's in the packet, and I would just like to add that my committee met with Dominic Dorsey, which is the Director of Access today, and we were just brainstorming some ideas on how we can better support students with disabilities on campus and to make them feel more included and have an inclusive community here at SIUE.
All right, moving on to line item 12 announcements. If there's anybody within SG that has any announcements they want to tell us, now's the time to hear them.
Hello, everybody. I have an announcement. This is a very important one. So Access, we have our second annual Ed Roberts dinner. Well, it's not a dinner this year because it's not in person, but our second annual Ed Roberts celebration is taking place November 19th at 5 p.m. on Zoom. I'll share the flyer with you. It would be great to see a lot of SG representation there because as a diversity committee, Maddie has been getting a thing for us to collaborate with Access. So please come. I'll send you the flyer.
Senator Aslan leadership programs announcements. We're
We're still doing virtual leadership lunches. If you want those emails, be sure to sign up for a Get Involved roster. We are still doing a beanie giveaway. I don't have mine with me, but they're really cool and they're really warm and you want one. And if you want to get one, which you should submit questions for our panel next week on Wednesday at 12. Thank you.
All right, just a few. I want to say congrats to our SG folks who were initiated to Order of Omega over the weekend. Kudos to you all. That's amazing. Also, just quick reminders, please remember to check your places to be at the emails that you get on Mondays, and any information you receive from the Student Organization Leaders Listserv that has a lot of different opportunities and reminders for you of things happening on campus. Next week, I won't highlight everything, but we have leadership lunch information, leadership panel for November, everything's in there. Stuff about service Saturdays that are coming up, and CAB activities as well. So next week's will be really busy, so make sure you check that out and share with your networks. Also, SIUE is celebrating Native American Heritage Month. And so those emails have gone out with different opportunities for you all to partake in some of the activities and educational sessions they have planned. And then SIUE is also celebrating our first gen students. So our students who are the first in their families to attend college. So do make sure you check out the celebration lunch, that it's not really a lunch, but a Zoom over the lunch hour that is happening tomorrow at 12 p.m. To celebrate our first gen students, faculty, and staff. Quick reminder to also review the fee review document, like folks have said, in Teams, so that if you have any questions, any remaining questions after today's meeting, that you get that in the document so exec can ask that at our next meeting next Friday. Just final announcement, huge kudos to every single person here. You all are just doing a great job with everything. Regardless of the circumstances, you all are hustling more than I've seen a lot of our boards hustle. So great job to you. You all are kicking butt. Really appreciate all that you're doing for our SIU students.
Are there any more announcements? If not, I will move on to line item 13, adjournment. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Senator Shao, so moved.
Moved by Senator Shao. I now adjourn this Senate meeting at 7:43